everyone, welcome back to another video. And so the finale of Love is Blind Season 3 is out on Netflix, and I'm here to share my thoughts on what went down between Zanab and Cole, how I think it ended so ugly, and perhaps who I believe in terms of their conflicting accounts of their relationship. If you're interested, I've already done quite an in-depth analysis of their personality types and compatibility on my previous video, link above. This video is more my additional thoughts, knowing what went down and transpired in the wedding and reunion episode. Again, the usual disclaimer, this is only my read based on the evidence I've been shown on the show. I definitely do not claim to know what really happened or to know these people for real. So first, I think the issue here is not that Zanab said no. She has every right to say no and, have her own standards for who she wants to marry. However, it's how she said no and how much, in my view, unnecessary pain she inflicted that is the problem. I think there's several layers to how it got there. And so I want to start off by talking about what's caused a lot of talk and controversy, her perception of how Cole's behaved towards her and made her feel. And this goes back to my previous video where I described that Zanab has an introverted sensing, SI, and how subjective SI could be in terms of their perception of events and how they remember things happening, that it's a very subjective narrative. And I'm kind of glad that there is this glaring example now of how warped SI could be in terms of how they view reality. So in Zanab's case, we have the so-called Cuties Story where she claims that Cole has basically body shamed her.
Like the trying to control what I ate and me changing my eating habit. I was eating like a banana and a teaspoon of peanut butter just so I wouldn't pass out on the long days we were filming. The Cutie Story that didn't make the cut was one day, it was 2 p.m. we were still filming. I hadn't had a chance to eat, so I grabbed 2 cuties, little tiny oranges that fit in the palm of your hand. And he looked at me and he goes, "Are you gonna eat both of those?" And I said, "Well, yeah, that's a serving." And he goes, "Well, we're going out to eat later. Maybe you should save your appetite."
Oh my God.
It's all very convincing in terms of when a woman is claiming that with a man, and when this man has shown traits that he could be slightly shallow, it's very believable. And it's only until we see what really happened in terms of camera footage that we realize that it's through her lens.
You only had a banana today?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Oh, I could
offered
definitely
you
tell
a
you, but I
poke
probably
bowl.
shouldn't. I know you did, but we had that last night.
Oh, are you getting
something like that?
Wedding dress bod?
Yeah.
This is how types with SI as well as FI, introverted feeling, can have a very warped perception of what really happened, especially if they've been hurt. How FI and SI work together is that at the start of the relationship, when Cole was being careless with his comments, it really hurt Zanab's feelings. It put her in a really low spot in terms of her self-confidence, whether she's attractive to Cole. That feeling is stored in her memory, her SI, and she is able to dig that memory up again, both the actual memory of events that happened, what Cole said, mixed with how she felt at the time. She's able to dig that up again and again and draw new meaning from it again and again, which makes her more and more resentful over time. That then adds a layer of tint to everything that happens thereafter. We could see from the footage about the tangerines that to most of us, It was a very innocent comment. He was just saying, oh, you're having 2 tangerines? Oh, we're about to have a massive dinner. Like, you better save your appetite. Whereas through her tinted glasses, she's already feeling like Cole doesn't think I'm attractive. She thinks that, oh, look at him making little comments about what I eat. He's trying to control what I eat. He's body shaming me. And that's all in her head. It's, it's not without reason, obviously, because it was Cole that put her down that path of thinking by being completely thoughtless and insensitive in terms of what he says to her at the beginning of the relationship. But in terms of her interpretation of events after the Colleen flirting incident, it's inaccurate.
Sometimes I wonder if you hear the words that I am saying.
In a very odd way, I don't believe that Zanab thinks she's lying or exaggerating. Her perception of events is very real to her. And so in terms of a learning point, if you do have SI, if you do have introverted sensing, as well as introverted feeling, FI especially, you really need to have a lot of self-awareness to sometimes question your account of events, your account of reality. She keeps saying that, oh, Cole, this is working to be so in your favor because they didn't use all this footage.
That is your saving grace,
anything
Cole,
wrong,
is that they did not use it. Because
what?
so much of that stuff, the pushing food away from me, asking if I'm gonna eat that, trying to get me to order a salad, the daily comments about my face and my body were not used. And that's great because it really did protect you.
I mean, firstly, them not using the footage is actually to both of their favors. It's not just for Cole's because, on the flip side, she can claim whatever she wants and no one would know. Secondly, I mean, it's quite hard for me to believe that Netflix is protecting Cole's image. This is a reality show that wants drama, and what's drama on Love is Blind? Someone who is shallow, who's being superficial, who's being unfaithful. I mean, they didn't protect Bartice or they didn't protect Colleen. Why would they be protecting Cole? It just tells me it means the production team didn't think any of her so-claimed stories or footage are worthy of being broadcast, because it's a very big stretch to interpret it as Cole being shallow. I think the ultimate conflict within Zanab is that her head is telling her that she is out of Cole's league, that she deserves a way better guy than him.
I am a catch of the century. I am.
And I don't mean to attack your fiance, because this is honestly, I feel like a little bit like a bitch. But you are just so much greater than him.
And that conflicts with her heart, which is telling her that he makes her be less serious and open up her shell a bit more.
He just melts my little gushy heart.
When I say head and heart, to me, it reflects her functions. So her head is TE, extroverted thinking, and that's her dominant function, versus her heart, which is FI, introverted feeling, which is a lower function. Her tendency is going to be to follow her head. This might be a bit controversial because I'm linking it to a personality type. With Zanab's type, the ISTJ, they have dominant function SI, which also is about the expectation of receiving an experience from other people. It's about being aware of cultural values and conventions. They also have TE as a dominant function, extroverted thinking, which is to categorize, to be aware of society's standards, hierarchy, and where you slot in that ranking. It makes them, especially if they've been through pain and trauma, it makes them quite, in a way, entitled, especially when they think that they meet the criteria that society has set for them to be among the higher ranking.
I'm a cute little flight attendant if you ever see me on a plane, but I don't really get approached. I don't know what it is.
ISTJs also care a lot about their public image. They are types that want to appear perfect. I see a lot of that in terms of how she ended her relationship because he's hurt her. He's made her look less attractive than she deems herself to be. He's made her look on TV like she's naggy, even calling her bipolar instead of someone sweet and kind and deserving of a husband. In the end, I feel she has to own up to the villainizing of Cole. What frustrated me in the reunion show, like she tries to come off as this bigger person that's risen above it all, when, you know, you can interpret that she's been bitching about Cole to the other cast members. Like she had a full backing from the other girls.
I don't know what to say, Zay.
The truth. You can start with that.
Why do you hate me, Nancy?
I'll just say it. It was the tangerine thing.
Oh, yeah. I'm telling her, are you seriously going to eat all those tangerines?
He got a girl's number at the bachelor party or something.
Yeah.
Things.
What?
There was the body shaming.
And I don't blame the other girls for attacking Cole because they're just reacting to what Zanab has told them about Cole. They've not experienced Cole themselves. And I wonder what they think now after seeing that footage at the end about the tangerine story. She completely villainized him, and I just wish she'd just own up to it and not be like, oh, I've forgiven you, you know, go forth and prosper. Like, I don't believe she means that.
I love you. I know you are not. I still don't think you're a bad guy. You treated me badly, but I do not think you're a bad guy. I forgave you the moment I walked away from you at that altar. I don't hold anything against you.
She's basically said on a show called Love is Blind, where the cardinal sin is basically being shallow, being superficial. She's accused Cole on this show of body shaming, of being unfaithful. It is a campaign against him. I mean, this brings me to the next point. You know, ISTJs, they are such equalizers. They equalize your emotions. What I mean by that is when you're feeling good, they tend to knock you down a peg. But when you're feeling crap, that's when they lift you up. So then it's equalizing. They always keep you at the middle of feelings. They don't want you to feel too good. Well, I shouldn't say want. They don't let you feel too good, and they don't let you feel too bad. And I wonder if this is why Cole thinks she's bipolar and cannot read her, because I guess when he's very happy, very cheerful, very giddy around her, that's when she knocks him down a peg. That's when she's naggy. That's when she seems quite cold.
I forgot to tell you.
Oh my gosh, with cooking chicken.
Are you mad?
I'm not mad.
I fell in love with you. You're amazing.
You have disrespected me. You have insulted me. You have single-handedly shattered my self-confidence.
Versus when, like, he's completely destroyed, that's when the angel comes out.
And, like, watching it destroyed me.
Cole, I don't regret you at all. I don't regret you at all. You really did teach me so much about myself, and there was no one else in this experiment that I would have done this with.
So obviously it's gonna be confusing for someone like Cole, you know, has FI, introverted feeling, as dominant. His emotions are way more consistent than that. And in terms of ISTJs being equalizers, I can't say I can completely explain why they do it. I certainly don't think they do it, you know, consciously, but that's my observation. In terms of, you know, her accusing him of being unfaithful the night before the wedding.
I saw you before the wedding, and you told me, you said, I do have something to tell you. I tried to kiss a girl at the bachelorette party.
Oh my gosh.
I can't help but draw a comparison between what Zanab ended up doing and Natalie from season 2, the After the Altar show, where she claims that Shane had cheated on her. And Shane also completely denies it and says that she's making stuff up. And Natalie is also a ISTJ.
The first time I saw Shane and Shayna's messages, Shane had posted an Instagram story and she had responded to it with like something sexual. And so I asked him to show me. There's just comments on like what would have happened if they ended up together, how wild their sex life would be. You don't do that to someone you love.
I haven't seen the text myself.
No, I have not physically seen the text myself.
Not text messages, it was just messages.
She has these magnificent fart in the wind DMs. If they're out there, please show everyone.
And I want to clarify that I am not trying to box any type into certain behaviors. I'm only talking about tendencies, things that certain functions we have make us more likely to do on autopilot mode if we are not self-aware, if we are not conscious of why we're feeling or thinking the way we do. Everything I said about the ISTJ, it does not mean that I think all ISTJs end relationships this way. I am merely saying that if you don't have the knowledge of yourself and really introspect and look at what you might be blind to or not so good at, then we all make silly mistakes that lead to really unnecessary pain. Another thought I had is there are differences in terms of one's a thinking dominant type, Zanab, and one's a feeling dominant type, Cole. I find that thinking dominant types, which means that they have a lower feeling function, they tend to be quite binary when it comes to their feelings and therefore relationships and how they deal with it, versus feeling dominant types who have a higher feeling function. I don't want to say they're necessarily more adept with feelings. It depends on the person's maturity, of course. But feeling dominant types, they definitely are able to appreciate more the complexity and nuances of feelings, that it's not binary, that you can have conflicting feelings for the same person or for the same relationship and be able to hold both, accept it as making sense, versus thinking dominant types who are more binary. It's like, I either love or I hate you. You either hurt me or you make me feel good. There's no in between, and therefore the resulting decision or behaviors in reaction to how they interpret that feeling becomes very black and white, binary. Zanab is unable to process the conflicting feelings that she have for Cole, because on the one hand, he's really hurt her in the start of their relationships, completely trashed her self-esteem, finding other girls, especially Colleen, attractive. But at the same time, she has good moments with him, and I do believe she does love him, and she does love that he brings out the softer, sillier side to her. But because her feeling function is lower, she may be less able to hold those several conflicting emotions within her and be more tempted to just go with one or the other. And it's so easy to just go with the negative, regardless of type. A lot of us, we remember the negative feelings way more than the positive. And so she kind of flipped all the other way to, he's bad for me, he disrespected me, he insulted me, versus Cole, who is the feeling dominant, who understands all these feelings in terms of he really loves Zanab. She adds depth to his life. He loves that he is able to open her up and get her out of her shell. But at the same time, he wishes that she was a warmer person. He understands inherently that they are not perfect, but it doesn't mean that you have to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Zanab and I are in love, but we're still working through things. And here we are on our wedding day, and we're still figuring it out, you know? Even when we were like arguing, we were always like trying to work through something and get somewhere and like make progress. You know, it was like we connected the dots where we were like, oh, that's why we're fighting about this, is because we're trying to like get to a healthy space there and like understand each other more.
Cole was probably ready to, if not marry Zanab, at least continue a relationship with her, because he is able to hold those multiple feelings within himself. In fact, feels that that's just a relationship. That's just how relationships are. Possibly why Zanab came off as the worser party here. The way I see it is because of Zanab's blind spot function, which is FE, extroverted feeling. What FE is as a function, it ultimately is a function that seeks harmony. It's a function that absorbs other people's feelings and values and wants to respond to them. So what does it mean if that's your blind spot? I actually have a lot of sympathy for people with this blind spot, because it means that when it comes to feelings, they can only feel what they feel. They're not going to naturally be able to gauge how other people are feeling, or how other people might feel, or see other people's points of view in terms of emotions, unless they feel the same, unless they've had the same experience. The other thing is they tend not to know how to navigate difficult emotional conflict. Why people find Zanab being quite brutal is because the odd thing about her is that up until she kind of brutally trashed him at the altar, you know, before that point, she made everyone think that she would say yes.
Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this man, and I just am so thankful I was given the opportunity to know him and love him. You are not a hard man to fall in love with, and I did completely fall in love with you. I believe that love is blind because of you.
And I feel these are all her efforts, her doing it in her way to try to be like, okay, I'm gonna let him down gently. But because she doesn't know how to properly let someone down gently, it comes off really ugly, because there's a disconnect between the sweet, gracious behavior and comments versus just total bollocking of Cole. Like, there's a disconnect.
And have tried to manipulate myself to be that person for you. You have insulted me. You have single-handedly shattered my self-confidence. And I hate that you have had that kind of effect on me. I know I love you, but everything in me and the logical part of my brain tells me that love shouldn't feel this way. Love shouldn't hurt like this.
And, you know, with the blind spot with everyone, it's sort of the thing that makes us a bit odd to everyone else. And because we're not consciously aware of blind spots either in ourselves or other people's, our minds sort of make an explanation for that odd behavior in terms of we don't see it as a blind spot. We see it as there's a malicious intent, or you did it because of a reason. It can't be just that you were ignorant or that you were blind to this thing, because how could you? No one else is blind to this thing. That's how sort of Cole and, you know, a lot of people interpret Zanab, that she basically deliberately planned this to hurt Cole as much as she can.
I knew we're not perfect, but that? Why has she never said that to my face? And she chose now because she knew it would hurt more in front of all of my friends and family.
After you gave that speech where there was like applause, I don't know if they were applauding you or what was the applause for?
So Bartiz is saying your friend, it could be your friend supporting you in any capacity, or it could have been premeditated and you're like, I'm gonna tell him this, guys.
Do I think that's the case? I don't think it was intentional. She definitely achieved that. I see it as, you know, major payback for how she felt Cole treated her, the whole Colleen thing. But it's so severe that I don't think he kind of deserved that level of punishment, because she hasn't taken into account, you know, what he's done since that mistake, which I think Cole has apologized for, and not just to her, but he's apologized to Matt as well. He's really trying with Zanab. He's ready to marry her despite his family's disapproval. And we know from Cole that family is important to him. Also, in the Cuties Story, the one with the tangerines, I think they showed the whole footage, not just, you know, the tangerine part, because they were talking about planning a wedding in England for her family. It's showing that he's serious about marrying her, that he loves her, and they were planning a life after the show. It is very sad because her blind spot is Fi, which means she'll find it hard to naturally know how to relate to other people, preempt how other people might feel, know how to have difficult conversations with people and be diplomatic, look after other people's feelings. She probably unknowingly made it a lot worse than it needed to be. Thank you for watching this video and hearing my thoughts. It'll be interesting to see what everyone thinks. Please leave a comment in the comment section. Please like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to be notified of when I have videos coming out. Lastly, if you wanted to explore your own personality type, your relationships, and get some counseling on whatever aspects of life you want to explore with personality type, then please do find my booking details in the description box below.